everyone. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Surface. It's a privilege to be back in your face again today. My name is Folakemi Yemi Olani, and here with me is my co-host. She is
Tobiloba Grace or Doffin.
Beyond the Surface is a platform where we talk about going beyond the limiting things that is holding us down, breaking every barriers, moving ahead, talking about things that we do not usually talk about, just like the name, Beyond the Surface. So today we have another guest with us, and we're so excited. We are talking about fatherhood, because oftentimes people always think that fathers are, they're all about providing, and we're here to break all of that norm. So welcome with me to another episode where we trash that word fatherhood. Over to you, sis.
All right. I'm so excited because today we have a very important personality.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we are in his art gallery. I'm talking about a pentographer, a pentocaster, and a multidisciplinary visual artist. He's an educationist. He's a doctor. The person of Professor Kunle Adeyemi.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's a privilege to have you here.
I
Yes.
appreciate it.
We are honored to be in your art gallery. We've seen amazing works and they're so beautiful. Well done, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so sir, before we dive into some questions that we have for you, we'd like to first talk about fatherhood. What does fatherhood mean to you? You've been a father for how many years now, sir?
For close to 40 years.
40 years. 40, that's a lot. So we're going to be getting a lot of wisdom today.
Yeah.
So what does fatherhood mean to you, sir?
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your coming to my studio. This is where we work. After while I was in service, at the Yaba College of Technology, after the close of the work, I come to the studio again to start my own practice. And it has been very rewarding but more importantly, diving straight to your question, what does fatherhood means? Well, fatherhood, aside from being a provider, a father must be actually a leader, somebody who goes before, somebody who says and acts, somebody who is a promise keeper, somebody who that have integrity in the society, somebody who we can believe in every of the things that he does, somebody who can actually bring heads together, management of human resources, not just material resources, but human resources. So a father must be able to have all these niche, all these accouterances, in his kitty, to be able to excel as a father. It's important to know, not just being a man, not being able to impregnate woman, not just go out there and work and come back. No. A father must be able to provide love. Yes, we ask that love goes from the woman to man, but the father must be able to provide love, must be able to sometimes submit too, to the system. How do I mean? You can't be right all the time. So some people think, when they are a man and they have money or they begin to misbehave. But no, the father must be able to listen, and must be able to listen well and analyze situation as it comes, and be able to profile wisdom. So all of this, put together, and much, much more, can actually be described as somebody who is a father.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. The second question I would like you to answer is, how can a man be more involved in their children's or in his children's daily life, education and emotional growth?
Yes, the father must be involved, particularly when the children are growing up. A good father must be involved in the daily life of the children. After all, it is the father, the supposed father, meets the woman, the mother, and by the grace of God, the spermatozoa moves down to the egg of the woman and fertilize the thing, and God breathes into it and it becomes man. So you have actually brought them to life. One, words of provision must be there. You must be able to provide. But however, right to your question, how does can you remind me again?
How can a man be more involved in their children's
Yes,
daily life?
Life right from the youth. You must be able. The father must be able to get himself down to the children. They must know you. You must not be a visiting father. They must know you. You must not be a one-time father. So they must know you. You must be at home with them. You must, when they are growing up, you must help the wife or the mother to carry them when they are weeping. You must be able to clean for them. So occasionally, by that, you must be able to have a routine system for your children or for your child. It's not bad if the man takes the child every morning. Let's go and bathe. You bath her, you clothe her, and you dress her up for the school. So at that, you are inputting yourself, as a father in the life of that children. He will know, or she will know, that clean up in the morning is good, and the food is ready. If she's not the type that eats regularly, make sure you give him or give her that food that he's supposed to get in the morning, and then put things together. Serve them while they were much, much younger. And before you know it, your name will be their lips on a regular basis. And they will feel that there's a man, and that man, even when they cannot picture it initially, that man, by the time you consistently do that, the child will definitely, realize that there's a man in their life, and at that you have won the thing. Then going up to school, you check, go to their school, visit their schools regularly, ask their teachers, and all that stuff. Attend PTA meetings.
That is very important.
Not from body exactly. And then you come back again, look at the assignments. If your child is getting weaker in one area, quickly provide some solution. Maybe discuss with the teacher, another. And when the child sees all this, then you are engraving yourself, you are etching yourself in the life of those children. And by the time they are moving up, again, don't choose course for them, but look at what they can actually do. And so your advice may work, and but again, if your son or your ward is caught for the sciences, don't particularly say because you are a lawyer he has to do law. If your ward is caught for the arts, don't particularly say because you are medical science, every one of them must be parked there. No. It disrupts the system of the child. So what you need to do is to guide them in that aspect. And when they are grown up, in the university, again, during our own time, there is a beating system, cane, and all that. But today, it's not really fashionable to cane the children any longer. But again, sit them by your side and discuss with them. Now that we have the age of social media, so many other influences are coming in. So you need to guide them. Sometimes you need to play with your child and look at their phones. In case you can. But if you see anything untoward there, you can actually correct. Just correct. Sometimes some children, they go to schools and they get influenced one way or the other. But if you are closer, the influence will not go far. Your influence, what you want, what you wanted in the life of your children, will actually go because of the guide. At least you get 70-80%, and the other 20%, the children can manage. They can know the right from the wrong. They can actually know what they ought to do per time. So it's important for you to really get the influence, because like I said earlier on, the father must be able to influence the child. So right from the word go, that influence must take up, and then so they see you as their leader. and at that, the children will not have problem in future.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
So the word I caught when you were speaking was that word engraving.
Yes.
And that's why some parents feel like maybe their child abandoned them. Not really like, it wasn't like they abandoned them, but that engraving did not happen.
It don't happen.
When you are engraved in your child's heart by you being there present with them, they naturally would have you in their head, have you in their mind, have you in their plans, even when you're at home. That's a major one.
It is.
So how often do you tell your children I love you? Do you say, because oftentimes our daddies don't say it.
Don't know how to say that.
Yeah, I don't really, but by portraying, what I do for them, the child will definitely decipher that this is love that this man is showing. So sometimes I love you goes beyond words, saying it. But again, you have to show it. For instance, the child had a problem. There was a time one of my children had a problem in his leg. Maybe he played football and all that. So by the time I saw it, I started nursing that. I'm not into medical area, but I know. Then I started making sure that thing did not go too far, and eventually we escaped, that hurt. But it took me time to take him to the hospital, to take him to this, to take him, and he was seeing it. That expresses the love. And by the time he grew up, he's but one of the things that I do that shows love really is that every morning when we get to the family altar, I express the love of God to them, and then it flows. I said, look, we are here today not because we can actually make it happen, but it is God. By the time you start showing your children the life of appreciation, the life of knowing God, the life of loving God, the life of going to church, the life of making sure you help others, you have expressed love. And so by the time they grow up, they definitely know that, oh, this man actually loves us. So that's saying I love you, well, it's a modern trend, but I think we show it in action more than words.
Okay, so I totally agree with you, sir. But I want to ask you, because in our like the first time a grandma told me I love you, I felt, wow, like that grandma still today still have a place in my heart, because I've never heard it from anybody tell me I love you. So I feel like an adult saying I love you. And so oftentimes if fathers do not say it to their children, especially girls for that matter, but I don't want to make, because girls always want the I love you thing, because boys something, but we don't want our boys to grow up without feeling loved. So to both children, do you think it is important that apart from just showing it, you also verbalize it?
Yes, in modern times, I am continue to say, in these contemporary times, I think we need, because there are so many vices out there. So you need to give them, the children, that reassurance. That look, I love you, you are beautiful, this is this one, this is that one. Making sure the child has, you take away emotional distress from him or her. And again, not that alone, you let him take his or her pride in the committee of friends. If somebody is trying to disrupt a girl's life, for instance, I say, oh, I love you, this and that, and he's showing some things and say, oh, you are beautiful. I say, sorry, my father has actually told me severally.
I hear that
yes, it is not that I am debunking what you're saying, but it's not to the level that you are taking it to. I have somebody who loves me too. So I think these days it is very, very important to assure the children that, look, I love you. For instance, I say that to my granddaughter now, and she's always very happy, that because it is this season. When we were grown up, there's no
and
then when that's when we were under the tutelage of our parents, it wasn't at all.
It wasn't.
The first thing they
more show of love.
So now we grew up. Some of us cultivated that habit a little because of where we worship or where the lessons that we've had. But today, we are forced. My generation is forced to say, I love you,
Yes.
you know, and all that. So
Yeah.
you need to reassure even your wife too. You need to reassure that look, is what I'm doing is actually not just on the surface, deep down, and
Mean
you
it.
can only say that. I mean, you can only
Show it,
actualize
express
that by expression. So I agree with you totally that we should express this aspect of our lives. Yeah.
Thank you.
Honestly, it is understandable because your generation understand love by show of love,
Yeah.
by some love languages rather than verbalizing it.
Yeah.
But thank God for civilization that made us to know that yes, we need, yes, that made us to know that we need
We're
both.
not in an assumption level.
Yes. So we're not assuming, because there are times that, you know, some show love, express love because of some reasons. Yes. So, but these days, when somebody says it, he looks into your eyes and say, I love you.
Yeah.
You know, it's a reassurance. And sometimes when you want to doubt it, you remember the fact that this person said it. So that's a lot. We honestly, we understand your generation, and we went through it too. But we really saw that our parents loved us, and the way by the things they do for us. Thank you for sharing. The third, I mean, my own next question that I would like to ask is, how do you balance discipline with love? And then I would like to press it further by saying, have you ever corrected your child in anger and regretted it? What did you learn from that? Now, because that's like, we want to balance this. It's fathers, you know, children fear father most. Like, daddy is coming, that, you know, that daddy is coming. So how do we balance it? Have you ever corrected, you know, out of anger? And did you regret it? Was there any period where you say, oh, I'm sorry, I regretted this, and, you know, try to correct it? Was there anything like that? That, because we know that fathers are learning from all these experiences.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Balancing love and discipline.
Yes, one has to discipline the child anyway, or the children, depending on. As a matter of fact, the Bible talked about it. Said talked about the rod.
Yes.
You know, it says strike the rod or something, and so by the time you express discipline in our own generation, discipline is expressed by spanking, by caning, by beating, and all that. But when we were growing up with our children, I reduced it drastically, you know, because I have learned through knowledge and through education that those beatings, those inhuman, you know, attitude to our children do not necessarily work. Those things would have been better to be done to a slave, and slaves don't exist any longer. I'm in my own thinking. So the children have to be corrected. Most importantly, what I do is to continue to hammer on the wrongdoings of my son or daughter. You know, I'll tell you, you did it, this is not good enough. Correct quickly. You did it, this is not good enough. And children, for who or what they are, sometimes may not. It's as if when you tell them goes through
comes out
right here and goes straight down. It's just I'm not sorry to use the word, the language. They are just like goats. You know, when you ask a goat to go, you know, and you do shh, you do pa, you know, the goat will go for a while. It's going to come back again, you know. But that of because of the brain, because of our psychomotor or psycho thing with human being, there is bound to be a restriction at the end of the day. Restriction in the sense that he or she will get that, oh, daddy don't like this, you know, and all that, and then he can actually hide. Even if he wants to do, he will go and hide it. That is one thing, you know, which means your
He's already getting into it.
Yeah, exactly. Your correction is getting. But I don't believe in this school that cane children. However, my experience in my house, in my home, I have actually done that before. One of my son, you know, we used to have a glass, center table, you know, and used to have it glass center table, and I don't know what happened. One day, he just jump on it, Pwah! And then the thing broke. Wow. Uh, I don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do at that time because one, the glass would possibly have hurt the boy
Hurt him.
and all that. But in anger, that's the foolishness too. In anger, brought him out and beat the hell out of him.
I pity that boy.
The glass got broken. Instead of me to
Check
check his legs,
if was
it's the cane, and I was so furious and did that. But years later, my son was preaching in the church, and he mentioned that same thing.
Wow.
Of course, he was trying to use that to correct that. Look, he has actually enjoyed discipline in that form. Either enjoy or endure or have suffered it. So he mentioned it, and it is that time that I regretted that I beat him. Ordinarily, I'm so. But again, if you check the psychology of human being, if you don't give that the right attention, that punishment the right attention, that child will think what he has done is normal.
It's normal.
So, but while years later, maybe 15, 17, 18, 20 years after, because my son also preaches on pulpit, and so he mentioned that there was a time his father did this. But, instead of regret, really, it becomes a mixed feeling. That, maybe I have actually done it right, but inside of me, I know that there are steps to take beyond beating. That better. And so the steps I should take then, correcting myself now, backlash. But what I should have done is to make sure he's not wounded. Make sure that he's okay. Take the rubrics, the relics of those things and all that, and then call him later and tell him that act is not good. So that may sink better than bah. So it's really, but there's none of us at our age that has actually not done that before.
Yes. So it's actually peculiar with your generation.
Yes.
I know that some of us beating him.
But today,
better.
it's we use the word of mouth. We use signs. We use signs. When you look at the child and look at him, he knows that daddy is vexed already, or mommy has something. Unlike a joke that say, "Mommy, what happened to your eye?" So it's like you are blinking.
Why you crying?
But I mean, that's on a jocular note. So these are some of the things, but there are many regrets here and there. But again, we thank God that these children they captured that and they preached it. They talk it to their mates, so that they can actually have the fear of God and as well as the fear of their parents. That's it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. So, just my next question: do you think providing financially is good enough to be a good father? Like I'm making provisions available, and that's it.
No, that's a wrong erosion. It's not only providing funds or finance. It's part of it. It can take about 20-30% of what you need to do at home. Provide leadership is very, very important. Provide integrity is very important. Provide, trust. Provide honesty. Funding we are supposed to go out there and work and bring in the fund and all that. If you bring in the fund and you don't provide all these other areas that I've mentioned, provide spiritual leadership, provide physical leadership, provide social leadership. If you don't do that, the funds that you have actually expended turn to waste. Yes, you provide fund, your son or your daughter goes to school, and you think all that is going to end there. The teachers don't have the capacity, to give him the internal love that you show, the internal control that you show, the internal advices that you will show, the internal way of behavior that you show. So behavioral patterns. So if you just provide fund and you look away, that fund will betray you. So as a father, I provide the fund as well as provide these other areas, and little wonder they all turn well at the end of the day. Grateful to God.
Okay, so I would like to ask, of course, I know that you have, as a matter of fact, this is one of the legacies you're leaving behind, we know. And I'd like to ask, what kind of legacy have you built for your children? And then what advice can you give men on how to build good legacy right now? Because some people are just living their lives, not even minding what is coming. In fact, looking at some leaders, some so-called leaders we have, what is your own legacy and what advice can you give men on legacy?
No, the morning shows the day. That's so says, so goes the saying. The legacies. Early in the morning, you must provide that spiritual legacies. The spiritual legacies is make sure, as a parent or as a father, that there is a family altar, and make it compulsory, that every morning, no matter how busy you are, no matter how rush you want to get out, let us pray. And when that is done, you can give assignment to them there too. For them, one of them can pray, one of them can read a passage, one of them can. So at that, you are again, I'll use the word engraving. You are engraving something in that spiritual subconscious. That subconsciousness, like, oh, okay, it's like this man that I'm looking up to is looking up to
Someone.
is looking up to God. So at that, early in the morning, when that is done, again, of course, as a Yoruba person, the legacy again is, culture of greetings. The children would lie, the lady will kneel down, and they will greet and all that. You are teaching them something, not to forget some things about life. Then the biggest legacy that we can talk about is a little bit general, but that's education. Let them have good education, and by the time they have good education, their tomorrow will actually be better than yours. So when your son or your daughter, have very good education, you already solved majorly. And then by the time that education comes and is good, behavioral pattern begin to again try a little before they become, when they are still malleable, when you can still turn them, you can make sure, well, like my girl, each time she wants to go to the university, she's schooled somewhere farther away, I will go with her. At a particular point, it becomes an embarrassment. Daddy, don't follow me this time. Don't follow me this time. I resisted. I still follow for some time, but eventually I found out that, okay, I think I have to leave this girl now. Wow. She's matured enough. So those ones are also, part of legacies. Education is important. Character building is important. Behavioral admonition is important. Then the spiritual upbringing. When you have the spiritual upbringing, you have actually solved about 50% of some of these things. The child eventually will grow through that. You know that some children today, on Sundays, you see them on the football pitch, and they playing here and there, and I say, wait a minute, is it that, but is it that this people don't go to church? Failure. That's a parental failure. That what it means is that, somebody somewhere, the person that is supposed to control the life of these children have actually not done that. Thank God, during our own time, particularly in the spiritual aspect, my father is a nominal Christian. Was a nominal Christian. Goes to Anglican church and all that. But there are still sometimes he puts it hard on us to go. But my mother would take us to, her church, every weekdays, and when they have special programs and all that. So, and as children, we enjoy those things. We enjoy those things, and it became part of us. We became spiritually inclined, and then we know that, there's, what we call, by the time the child begins to know what sin is about, and then you are making him or her spiritually conscious, because a lot of people do things ignorantly, but when you give a legacy that, look, you must be able to punctuate, or puncture, you must be able to puncture ignorance, when ignorance is diffused on the child's brain, he knows better or she knows better. So some of these things are actually legacy. Then the other one is the legacy of work. Don't be found wanting. Whatever you want your child to do, please go ahead and do it first. And so then the legacy of leadership, to make sure you put people together and don't defraud them. Don't do leadership with a negative purpose. When your child found out that you do leadership with all consciousness and with that is straightforward, that is not looking for anything at the end of the day, not just. But before you know it, even what you are not looking for will come to you. As a father.
Yes.
So when those ones are, these children are watching.
Yes.
They're watching. Recently my granddaughter is with us, and whatever you say, you will say it. Whatever you say, you will say, you will repeat it. And the grandma said, "Are you so?" And he said, "It says this in Yoruba," and before you know, it becomes, because the woman says it, said those things in anger. The girl will come and say, "I won't check it on it." Say, "Don't say this again." And the grandma stopped it. Don't say it again, because this girl is picking up some of these things. So some of those things. And when I grew up, like I said, my mother was a good Christian. Instead of her cursing us when we do that, and say, "Ori e dara," he will say, "Your head is correct." She will use it to pray inadvertently for us. Oma shorireni and all that. So at that, we don't even know. Before I know, we don't know what curse is all about. All true. And then those prayers worked. My grandmother, we used to go to her, and we'll take care of one or two things, and when we are going, she would touch her head and touch my head and say, "This is what is going to happen to you. This is what is going to happen to you." That woman was a Christian, really. She was one of those who served under Apostle Babalola in the olden days. Yeah.
Wow.
The woman would say, "O mama fi lo ibo she aloboni." He said, "Ori unda," and all that. But I found out years later, the thing, each time I go out of the country, I don't even know how the thing will just work. Igbo will just invite me. And Dudu will just say, "Look," some people will even provide. Can you imagine? Some people will provide tickets.
Wow.
It's so. And so sometimes I sit down and I refer to that prayer. Even when the help, you think the help is not coming, heaven will raise help, because that has been stamped. So that's why that's our legacies. So I learned a lot from some of those experiences of my life.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. Do you think that the relationship you had with your own father had an impact in the way you did your father?
Yes. My father was polygamous, but there are special things that he has as attributes. When you grow up in a polygamous home, the father has so many other things to attend, and when he's even doing things for you, he might be hiding it so that the other person or the other one will not. But we grew up in such this thing. But my father would call me, and because I was the firstborn, so he had a plan for me. He would tell me the plan, that I wanted to go to school. He stop all these things you are doing. I used to play football seriously. I was a serious footballer, and when you play football, and I was so brilliant when I was in school, primary, secondary. But at the time I started joining football, started going with friends and all that, those little education, those little knowledge I get, You were
Try
just
dropping
going,
off.
try dropping off because you don't. So it's but this man handled me so much till today, till today. This area of my life that I have PhD in, you know, I mean, PhD is higher academic qualification anyway. My father was the one who discovered it.
Wow.
You know, he discovered it. And how did it happen? He wanted me to. He has actually seen me drawing drawings and all that stuff. But he's an illiterate. But I mean, he was an illiterate. He's not too well educated, you know. But he saw me doing those things, and I was playing football too. So he took me away from football and took me to a street artist in our town. And I said, when this boy comes from school, he bought a rally bicycle for me. So when I go to school, he withdrew me from boarding house.
Wow.
So I said, yes, he wanted to take full charge, you know, and because he's saying, look, if he's able to, I think his philosophy was that if I'm able to take this one, he will take others. And it worked.
Wow.
It worked. So eventually, when he put me in that training, after Form 3, during our own time, it was Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, Form 5. Today you have GSS, you have SS. So in Form 3, my father took me there, and I started going to that man, you know, after 2 or 3 o'clock, from that 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, you know, started learning how to draw, started learning how to paint, started learning how to, you know, and before you know it, today it became my area of life. You know, initially he wanted me to be a medical practitioner, but one man who took me again, he took me to one of his cousins who was a medical doctor. Apparently, that time in our town, when you go, you just give your son or your daughter to somebody and he goes away, and you know, whatever they become. So he took me to the man who was a medical doctor. That's his cousin, and he said, "Uncle, I want this boy." I mean, this boy said he was going to. He put it to me that when we get there, tell him you want to become a doctor. So we got there, and the man said, "Oh, okay, Omobanji, how are you? This and that." I said, "What? I've finished my school too." So he said, "What do you like to be?" I said, "Well, I want to become a doctor, sir. I want to do medicine." He said, "Oh, okay, that's good. Do you have your result here?" I said, "Yes, I have the result." I showed my result. He got the result. He looked at me. Look at the result. I want to do medicine. Maths, F9. Chemistry, P8.
Yeah.
Physics, I didn't do physics at all.
Wow.
Maybe biology, C5.
Wow.
The English, P8. He said, he looked at my father. He looked at me. I said, this boy can't do medicine. You know, my father felt bad. You know, as if the man did not want to take me away. You go with me. So this boy can't do medicine. So on a second, when he wanted to give back the result to me, he looked at the result again and saw in my art, fine art, I got A1.
Wow.
Either A1 or A2. In economics, I got A. In government, I got in Bible knowledge, we call it Bible knowledge, religious knowledge, Bible knowledge, that I got maybe a C5 or C4. I said, he called my father's name, said, this boy is caught for art.
Wow.
So this guy is caught for art. Of course, he's schooled in England. So he knows that, you know, they do minor and major. Apparently, his major was medicine and his minor was fine art.
No.
You know, because sometimes because he was a surgeon and an orthopedic surgeon, and they would do plastic surgery and all that. So the man read about artists, sculptors and all that. Say, oh, this boy can become Picasso. He can become. He started mentioning some artist names.
Wow.
My father said, but he said he advised that I should go and do art. That's how I caught the teeth to become an artist today.
Wow.
And then wherever anything that is art, and God so made it that even in the in the area that I have the PhD, I'm the first Nigerian to have that. You know, so it goes to that level. You know, so my art I have exhibited in the United States, I've exhibited in my works have been exhibited in UK, I've exhibited in Europe, in Sweden, in some other places. So it's I really thank God for that man, because that discovery, You know, at that time, the cost of a pallet paint, we call it pallet, just small paints inside it, cost about 10 shillings. Because that's in from 1973 or 72.
Wow.
10 shillings. And he bought it for me.
Wow.
You know, so he has actually and today, you know, I try to repeat that in the life of my children. You know, move with them to, you know, where my children go to school, I go there. Even university, I still go there. When they are far from me, I will go there. I take them there. I made sure the admission is you know, of course, as an educationist and somebody who has influence in one or two areas. After all, some of my friends are there, are in those schools. So and I'm happy that all of them are practicing what they learned in school.
Wow.
You know, that's I think I have answered.
Wow. Yes, you have done justice to the question.
Okay. Yes.
There's a question I'd like to ask you, and just before we wrap up, these days we discover that fathers just leave the house. You know, because we have a lot of absentee fathers, and this is really affecting our society. From your own experience and your years of fathering a child, being a father, what can you really say is the cause of men leaving their children and their wives? Because some people just abandon the family and just walk away.
Yeah, there are so many issues there. One of it is sheer irresponsibility. You know, when you see a man who is not responsible, this type of attitude can actually happen. If you see a man who is selfish, you know, and self-centered, you know, he would just be thinking about himself alone. You know, even if he has wives, he will think of going out there to have some other things, you know, side chicks or whatever. It's himself. Is how he can. If he has money, he will keep somewhere and will not allow the woman at home to know. He has so you see some of this attitude, and then you see such person, you know, the causes of those things. Some of the causes of those things are, well, sheer irresponsibility, you know, selfishness or self-centeredness, wickedness. It's wicked when somebody, you know, deliberately would want to leave his responsibility, you know, to the woman, you know, and say he's done. He's done with what? You brought him, you brought her. So it's mere wickedness, because that generation that person is trying to thwart the future of such generation. That's wickedness. God frowns at that. The other thing is that some of these men are ignorant of what they are doing. Of course, you know, when Jesus found out, our Lord Jesus Christ found out that these people that are yelling, kill him, crucify him, this and that, and they were doing it. Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. That Jesus has actually put the world in ignorance, at ignorance level. And when they say somebody is so ignorant, it's a deep word, because somebody who is ignorant can actually cause several damages. You know, to humanity, can cause damages to existence, can cause damages. So ignorance is just what we say is just on the surface, but deep inside is very deep, and such person, you know, can actually abandon, you know, their responsibility. For instance, you know, there was a man, my father's friend. When we finished the school certificate, of course, some of us we had the grade 3. And my friend, childhood, they had grade 3. You know, at that time, we had grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and then S75 and fail. You know, so some of us had. It's not a weak pass really, but maybe in your English or your mathematics where you have. So those things are part of what they do as grade. The man called his wife, and said, well, he no go for the education of these children any longer. If you want to do anything, go and learn mechanic, go and learn the woman insisted, no, his son will not learn mechanical. The apprenticeship. It's not that mechanic is not bad, it's not good, but it's not that. But he said, go and he said, no, at this moment, at this age, when others are, you can train that in school, the woman insisted. They said, you know, get anything. You know. And the man married some other wives. Okay, you know, doing all the rubbish. But that woman held on to some principles and started looking for help from his brothers or her brothers and others. Eventually, the first child traveled, the second child traveled to the US, the third one got to the US. So it became those children became big.
Wow.
They became very big, you know, and they started moving their mother. Their mother would go, come back, bought good cars for her, you know. And that man has shot himself in the leg.
Yes.
By that, and it could be an act of ignorance. It could be an act of selfishness. It could be an act of wickedness. So that's why I put those things. So today I am advising that fathers should be on ground. Fathers should make sure that the children relate with you. Fathers should be sure that you put these children on their right path. And if there are influences here and there, negative influences, make sure you cut them. You must create time. As you create time to look at their assignments, as you create time to talk to them. As a matter of fact, when you talk to your child regularly, he'll be confident to begin to talk to father, to begin to talk to you, you know, and then you will be able to know. Some people in the school, they could bullying on the child and say, don't tell anybody. I will beat you. If you tell, I'll kill you. I'll do this. And eventually that child is going to get doomed. But if you have actually put yourself on ground and said, anything today, is there any scratch on your body? I discovered my son had a bad leg when I was taking his bath, bathing him, you know, and that's secondary school, maybe class 3 or maybe JS1, JS2. He was 13. My son was 13 and he had a bad leg, and I touched the leg and said, hey, what happened here? I know he had an accident in school. I started taking, I took him everywhere. We ended up in Gobi to do operation on that leg.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's you must, and I borrowed that from my father. You know, if any one of us got sick that time, my father will carry us, you know, and then he uses a motorcycle. He will put us on a motorcycle. There is a dispenser in the town. They will inject us. They will do all that. So this love that this man has transferred to us, you know, at least I was able to do that in a systematic or a psychedelic way to my children. At least they know. And all my children today, I think I know. I think they know. So some of these things are very, very important in the life of everyone. So fatherhood is beyond provision of money, you know, and that alone, it gives the woman in the house a serious rage. So after all, I'm bringing in the money. Money might fit. You know, some women will tell you, no, you need to provide leadership. You need to provide. If you see somebody who learns very well from his parents, it will reflect on whatever he does. For instance, my father, when he gets older, he was 90 before he died.
Wow.
When he became older, he was the chairman of the community. We have about 3, 4, 5 adjoining streets. If they fight anytime, they are coming to my father to settle.
Wow.
He became the judge, he became their leader. Of course, he was a prince, but again, beyond that, you know, he provided leadership for them, and we saw those things. So, and that we copy them, you know, till today in our lives.
Thank you so much for today. We have poured a lot of wisdom out, a lot we have learned, as it were. And I just want to use this opportunity to please encourage fathers that just as you have heard from the Dr. Kunle Adeyem, that you need to engrave yourself in the heart of your children, because not just for your own benefit later in life, but also for you to really do the work of fatherhood. You are responsible for those children that you brought to life, and you need to take up your responsibility. So I would like to say a very big thank you for having us in your gallery, for pouring a lot out. It's been amazing. Thank you everyone for watching today's episode. It's been wonderful. My name remains Folakemi Yemi Olani, and my co-host still is
Tobiloba Grace or Duffy. We use this opportunity to say Happy Father's Day to all fathers in the world, the fathers that are taking responsibilities, fathers that are leading and leading right. Happy Father's Day. We pray that the Lord will continue to strengthen you. And I think we should also look forward to seeing programs for fathers that are ignorant. We're looking forward to programs that men will start learning from, so that we can break ignorance from this fatherhood, in our own generation. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing with us.
Thank
And
you
we
very
are
much.
so grateful.
So
Thank
much.
you for watching.
Do not forget to like, share, leave a comment in the comment section. If you'd like us to talk about any other topic, please let us know. Till we meet with you again next time, stay blessed and bye.
Bye.